Hello! I get to play with a kitty. 2004 Jaguar. This is XJ8. Got just under 100,000 miles. And these, when they kind of first came out, I didn't think a whole lot about them, other than, hey, it looks like a Jaguar, which I think is, well, it's definitely exactly what they were going for. An evolution of the earlier XJs. And you know what? These have grown on me a lot. And I've also now had an opportunity to drive one or two of them. This is the first one of these I've driven in a very long time, actually. And they are lovely. They really are good. You know, this is the X350 generation, is what they call this in Jaguar parlance. And yeah, all aluminum body, which is cool, and panels. Pretty, I'd say space age, but wasn't like the space race and space age. Wasn't that the 60s? So not really space age, but thoroughly modern. And they're just really nice. They're put together well. Ford ownership era Jaguar gets a lot of grief, but I think they're actually pretty good. And this is probably my favorite of the bunch as far as balance of modern and old school. So let's check this one out. This one is in pretty darn nice shape. It's not perfect. A little scrapey and cracking here on this chrome here. A little scuff on the bumper. It does have a few minor rock chips. It's got this scratch here on the bumper. It's a very presentable, very handsome car, even with the kind of minor stuff like a little paint chip. These wheels are in good shape. The center caps are pretty faded, and they present well, but they do have some curbing. And they've got nice tires on them. Not nice in the sense of they shouldn't be replaced, because, well, they're from the end of 2015, which means that these guys are almost 9 years old. So for me, I would replace them, but they are Pilot Sport all-season 3s, which again, old. Those aren't in production anymore. They're on the all-season 4s, but goes to show, you know, I generally believe the thought that, you know, if someone's putting nice Michelins on a car, nice spendy tires on a car, that they're probably generally looking after it pretty well. One thing I noticed, I hit this with a little bit of detail spray before taking some photos, and it pulled some of the black off the rubber here and pushed it onto the white paint. I'm certain that will come off, but with more detail spray, it wasn't making it better. And you can kind of see here. Yeah, it's definitely coming off, even just with my finger. But I don't know, maybe that's a common Jaguar thing, but of note, I suppose. There's some minor touch-up paint in a couple of spots here, which is weird because it doesn't seem like it's that scratched up, but somebody decided to hit a couple of little surface scratches in the clear with white touch-up, which is not the proper way to do that. I'm sure paint correction, knocking a bunch of that back down, seeing what's underneath would help it out. It's definitely the weirdest thing about this car. And the deck lid is good. It's a pretty base model XJ8. It's not an R. It's not a super. There's no supercharge involved here. But I kind of like that. It's a shorter wheelbase. It still has 300 horsepower, as we look at some little parking lot dings in the back bumper. And, you know, it doesn't have options that you're not going to use anymore, like navigation and weird stuff from 2004 that are completely obsolete. So you get all the good bones in a smaller wheelbase package, both none of the stuff that you're not going to use anymore. So got the interesting kind of funny Jaguar key, and apparently this is his. But it does have a spare, which says hers. The owners of this car, the last people who owned it, must have really been persnickety about who's using keys. Memory seats, power windows, power mirrors, standard fare for a highfalutin Jaguar. Leather's held up very well. A little bit of creasing here and here, but no tears, no major discoloration, none of that. $99,403 is the mileage right now. Oh, power seats and steering doing their thing. AC blows cold. Power windows, auto down. Backs don't have auto up. Let's see if the fronts do. I don't remember. They do. That's cool. We have a sunroof. I haven't used it, so this is going to be scary. That's a good sign. See if it'll close. That'll be a better sign. Look at that. Brilliant. As I said, I found these cars to be generally pretty reliable in the bit of use that I've had with them. Got locks. Unlock, you do a half pull, and then it unlocks them. AC blows cold. Got all the speeds. Stereo. It does work. Haven't tested the CD player, so your mileage may vary there. The one thing I do want to point out, the flaw here on this interior, the headliner over here is just barely starting to get a little saggy. But just right there. Unless you're hunting for it, you'll never ever notice it. And it's a little bit in these back corners. Yeah, super minor, but absolutely worth noting, so I wanted to point that out. The other thing is, I think someone got mad at this glove box door once upon a time, because it's pretty wonky. This big kind of dent and crease in it, little nick there. It looks like maybe somebody tried to repair at one point. It opens with the push of a button. Closes like you would expect, but I don't know. It's just kind of wonky looking. So I suppose someone could replace the glove box door if they're worried about it. I'm not. If I'm sitting here, that's over there. Doesn't really bug me. But I did want to point that out. Let's get a look at it from the passenger side and pop the hood real quick before my GoPro runs out of battery. Ta-da! The XJ8 doesn't have the timing chain issues as the earlier ones. Idles here smooth. This side of the engine bay is a little dirty. See if I can get it cleaned up. Looks like maybe at one point, there's no signs of this thing is ever overheated. Maybe this popped off one time and sprayed that way. Or someone was very careless trying to fill this thing up with coolant at one point. But it's a little dirty. Drives great though. Has been smogged already, so it's past California smog, which means it sets all its smog monitors and does all the things, so always a good sign. Power seat works. Yeah, glove box from this side. I guess if for whatever reason you're on all fours and climbing around looking at the glove box, you'll see. And now suddenly we've traveled through time. A couple things happened. First off, my GoPro battery died. Secondly, I accidentally then backed over a piece of angle iron, putting the car back, which punctured one of the tires. I'll show you that in a second. And I got sick and lost my voice. So this is going to be a very jarring, interesting video here. Let's just wrap up the end of this and then we'll go for a drive so you don't have to hear my horrible pretend smoker's cough. But we left off where we were talking about the bumpy, lumpy glove box door here. Let's take a look in the back here. Also, the car sat for a week, so it's a little dustier now. But it's quite nice in here. I do want to point out a couple of spots on the back seat here. This spot here on the leather, it's a little rashy, mostly here. And then in the same spot over here. I have absolutely no clue what causes that. There's some creasing here, but pretty minor. But yeah, this leather rashing on both sides is pretty unusual. So I wanted to point that out. You got your cup holders and whatever else you want to hold, holders. I did mention the barely starting to sag headliner a little bit. You can see it here. It's really just kind of wrinkly. It's not really, unless you're incredibly tall and sitting in the back seat, because someone somehow even taller than you is in the front seat, you're not going to notice it. I'm sitting in it. I'm 5'10". My head is closed, but it's not hitting it. So, yeah. Otherwise, not much to report back here. There's a little cut on this vinyl backboard here. Nice place to spend some time. I was talking about the tires. This tire is still the old 2015 date-coated Michelin. Same with 3 of the other ones. However, you'll see this one is now a Nexen. So it has been replaced. Still, me, I don't like mismatched tires. I would do a full set of 4 that matched. Simply because you got to do the other 3 anyways. But yeah, I did want to point that out. There's now one of the tires is newer but mismatched. Other than that, excuse my head cold here. Other than that, we're good to go. So let's do that. Let's go hop in. We'll go for a drive and enjoy the Jaguar. Okay, let's start it up. We'll run it up the freeway entrance right here and take it for a quick drive. Shall we? Very choppy section of freeway right here, so it's a good way to feel out the suspension. Feels pretty darn good to me.
Alrighty. That is it. Unlike my voice, the car is great. I really enjoy it. As I said before, these have grown on me a lot. And with just a little bit under 100,000 miles on this one, it feels good. It feels tight. And I think somebody's going to be quite happy with this Jaguar. So it is for sale, if you haven't figured that out by now. If you haven't seen the auction, check it out via the link in the description below. Otherwise, thanks for checking this out. Bid often, bid early, and I'll see you guys on the next one.